much, gentlemen. CLG giving SKT a little bit of a mini heart attack. Also gave us here on the desk a mini heart attack when we watched all of that unfold. And that's where we've got to start. The fact that the way that this game began, it went a lot longer and was a lot closer than it probably should have been.
It was a really disappointing opening, right? Like, Darshan has been giving up first blood in a lot of games, and there's a giant minion wave. Why is he trying to 1v1 bang up here?
Yeah, and I always say, like, as the replay continues, and Aphro actually put in a lot of work here, but then they overcommit to the play.
Yeah, we missed the start where Aphro had a really solid invade. Like, he puts blank behind, and then we have to question CLG's decision-making, because in the Nidalee versus Elise matchup, you already outpace. Aphoromoo bought about 25-30 seconds that Xmithie could use to clean his entire jungle and then path to the top side, get the enemy jungle, and then help Darshan. Exactly. So all this pre-planning was there. It's like, no, we have to kill these guys right now or we lose the game.
Because Xmithie started blue side. He could have cleared his red jungle and then done a late invade with a level advantage up there, and Darshan didn't have to give away the first blood. So, like, the level 1 theory at the very start of the theory was great. Fantastic. And then CLG made a bunch of mistakes. And I think that was just a microcosm for the whole game, because even in the draft phase, I loved the fact that CLG secured Soraka and Nidalee, because these two champions together ungate the healing of Soraka. She normally has to sacrifice health to heal people. Nidalee heals Soraka. Soraka gets to heal forever. So when they went into these late game team fights and hard engaged over and over again, they didn't have to. And it was a game of things that CLG didn't have to do.
The pick and ban actually tells you a lot about this series. A lot of people say red side always has counter pick. Why are we even like putting Huhi on blue side? But in a lot of these games, red side isn't being used anymore for a mid lane counter pick. So that argument kind of falls flat. In addition, it tells you the approach these teams want to take. We see the early Azir Ezreal pickup from SKT, very scaling. It's almost a race of like, you want to be passive? I can be more passive than you on next rotation. And that's why we end up playing the Soraka matchup. The cool thing I like what CLG did is also, I think what they did against TSM in the finals is they steal both Ekko and Poppy when Maokai is banned, for example, and they pinch the top lane champion pool that way, going also for a very...
Said, though, Spawn, he just jumps at the Trundle, and...
This is my problem with it, right? Is we've already seen RNG try and pinch Duke's champion pool quite extensively, and they, like, reduced it down to where they were playing Rise top lane and things like this. And we've just seen that the double flex doesn't really work out in that favor, because when it does ultimately get to the team fighting, which MSI, like it or not, has resulted in, there's just a weakness there. So if you do it, you have to commit to your win conditions. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but never team fights. Keep 1-3-1. You can't use your teleports offensively ever. It always has to be reactive when they group up on you.
Yeah, but I do think they have a good team fight in terms of, like, this is how CLG also won the series against TSM. They had Huhi and Darshan with exquisite backline diving synergy, but it just never came to be because they fell behind for different reasons. I don't think this is necessarily a super bad teamfight comp, especially if you factor in what Soraka can do with a silencing zone. Like, these three things combined can just blow up a single target. CLG needs to synergize as well, because if they overreach once, have one bad teleport, as we see in one of the later fights too, then they get punished.
All right, well, we'll get to that. I do want to take a look at the fight that may have given SKT that mini heart attack. As we see CLG on your screens right here, the question of mentality will also play in as well, Jab, when we get further into it. But this is the play that really kind of allowed CLG back in the game.
Exactly. Vision denial to a flash stun on Faker against the wall, and then 2 kills. And because they had the limitless healing we talked about, they could very easily pull into Baron. And, like, that was the extension of after they'd already killed Faker once and got a couple kills at the Baron pit. So, like, the way CLG was clawing back in this game made a lot of people hopeful, I'd imagine, because they made so many mistakes in this first game. And I do wonder, like they were saying on the caster desk, whether or not this is one of those times where SKT kind of softballs a little bit in the first game, doesn't do the optimal strategy, plays a little sloppy, and then closes out. Because CLG's not going to feel good about all the mistakes they made.
I really do think that play encapsulates why it's so hard to set up at MSI, because teams give you no chance to set up your vision the way they would in domestic tournaments right now. As soon as they see anyone enters that brush, they don't have actually much vision of the rest of the team, as you saw it there, but they just pull the trigger and go onto the mid lane and take out a key target. And I really think that, this is something that CLG learned off the RNG squad when they were punishing them on bot lane turret. If you can just go generate that first pick, like, the rest of the map then opens up and you can make the next step quite easily towards your game plan.
And now we have to push forward to the final fight of the game, in which CLG does make another error. You talk about TPs and being able to set up those flanks. Well, here they are, Darshan TPing very far back into the river after Stixxay takes a huge amount of chunk at the beginning of this fight.
He's desperately trying to clear this wave while CLG is setting up for a TP play anyways. Why don't you let the wave hit the tower? You want them to walk forward and bait them. He walks into 2 or 3 soldiers, and then Darshan is now exposed because the biggest counter to a flank is Nami ulti one way and then engage on the other side of the flank. Really well executed by SKT overall here, but if you look at how close the fight ends, That major mistake at the start, this could have been a good opening, a good fight for CLG, but they overstep a little bit too early.
Decisiveness has been one of CLG's greatest strengths here, and they heavily decided to go in on that fight, but they needed to be able to pull back when Stixxay took 90% of his health, and Darshan's flank was spotted out by the pink ward that SKT had in their flanks. Like, that was an example of how SKT properly wards their flanks before a fight. The poke was great, and then the fact that CLG fully committed when they didn't have to was the game.
Yeah, and I have to say, I liked and I enjoyed watching Wolf play Nami. He was very aware of his surroundings, always had a good bubble ready. The fact that you can disengage, you know, with this tidal wave, even if your backline gets dove by this Ekko Poppy, and you can slow down whoever's following up. Combine that with the Azir. Nami Azir, really good zone in team fights.
I mean, SKT on your screens here, jump in, Spawn.
I just love the fact that SKT, like, they're the one team in the world that can pick non-engage and you still think they will win team fights because they pressure certain objectives and then kite back with things like Nami, the Trundle, you know, even the Azir, like, so flawlessly, and they leave themselves these big windows where they can be aggressive on neutrals, like, or turrets or something like that, but then still bait you into the team fight. So they are one of the few teams in the world that can pick non-engage and still play team fighting comps because you can't really pull them around the map all that much.
Well, a very unexpected way to get to an expected result in game one here. Coming up, we'll see if Korea's SKT will extend their lead or if North America's Counterlogic Gaming can get the series to game, or can get a game of the series in game two. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
We are on the rift, game one in the best.
Jesus. English is...
We are on the rift for game one in the best of 5.
Duke just sat bot lane, 1v1, Bang in the
look
trouble.
at this, Bang and Darshan go
minions.
The minion wave is going to help out, and Darshan gives up first blood. Faker's going to look for one before he goes down. The Barret Exhaust is not going to be available, and Faker tries to get away. The shield comes out from Darshan, and the inhibitor stays standing.
1-on-1. Go, nice, go. Fucking good shit, baby. Yo, get no pass. Dude, drag it. Dude, bam. Nice, go there. I'm Darshan. Nice. Bam.
Look at the slide, glide, divide. Faker split the fight, but nobody's gone down. Xmithie was golden from the hourglass. Blank jumps forward. 2 kills for SKT. SKT set their sights on the Nexus, and in 35 minutes, strike one